Hello everybody, my name is Chikirza and welcome to my channel. I'm continuing to work in my Canson Mixed Media XL sketchbook, and look, today is a special day. It is the last page that I can paint in this sketchbook. The other pages that are here, I've already got paint on them and ink from swatches that I've been doing. This is the end. This is my final page to paint. The colors I picked out today are a dark purple, a bright red, a pumpkin orange, and a bright yellow. And I've also picked out a black and a white craft acrylic paint, like usual, in case I feel like using them. Let's get started. I'm putting a stripe of each of the colors, the purple, the red, the orange, and the yellow on the paper. And I'm going to be using this wide flat brush I've got. It's a 3/4 inch brush, and I'm just going to make the stripes try to blend into each other, do a nice gradient effect on the background. See, today I actually have a plan. Well, I have an idea of what I want to do. I'm not sure how it's going to come together, but let's just see how it goes. My plan is to do a landscape. I've never done a landscape before, so let's see how this goes. So I've got some pretty harsh edges in between those colors, and I'm trying to blend them out a little bit better. If I was to do this again, I think I'd start with the lightest color at the bottom and go into the darker colors rather than the way I did it, where I started with the dark and tried blending down into the lighter colors. But let's see if I can get the effect to blend out a little bit better. So I just keep on adding a little bit more paint and trying to bring the lighter colors up towards the darker colors a little bit more. And it's actually working pretty okay. I've still got some harsh lines in there, but I'm just going to go on ahead. So I'm going to fill in a half circle here because I want to do a sun in the background. I figure for my last page, a sunset would be a nice effect. Kind of like a farewell, a good night to this book. So I did 2 coats of white there and made sure that it's dry. And now I have this yellow gel watercolor crayon. And I want to do some sort of a yellow halo around the sun to make it look like as if it's really glowing. So I just put it onto the paper and smeared it on with my finger to blend it into the background. Cool, it worked. Sort of the effect I was going for. Now we need to actually color the sun. So using the bright yellow craft acrylic paint, I'm going to fill in the sun. But as you can see, I've got a lot of paint on that section for that little tiny section of sun that I'm trying to fill in. So I end up having to spread it around with a brush a little bit more than I intended, just to get the paint to spread out because it was fairly streaky, and let's face it, I just had too much paint. And I was just using an angle brush here. Now that that's done, I want to work on doing a silhouette in front of that sun. So I'm mixing myself up the lightest shade of gray that I'm going to use on this picture. I'm starting with the farthest hills in the background. So I'm just creating some sort of a hillside here and filling it in. Fill it in mostly. I'm not too worried about getting the bottom part of the paper because I know that there's going to be other hills in front of this. I don't have this all mapped out, so I'm just winging it. And you can see there that I was like, am I going to do the other hill going the opposite direction? Yeah, probably. Well, now that I've got the hill drawn in, I need some happy little trees to live in here. So because this is the farthest back part of the horizon line, the tree line that we're going to see, I need these trees to be fairly small, but I still want them to be big enough that I can see them. And I'm using this angle brush still and just playing around with how I want to actually get these trees to go in. I don't want the trees to be perfect because in nature, they're not perfectly symmetrical and balanced either. So I'm trying to be fairly loose with this. Unlike my normal style where I tend to be very rigid with my lines and try to be too perfect. So now I'm going to do the next layer of silhouette trees in front of that. So I mixed in a little bit of the black acrylic paint into the gray that we already had to make it a darker shade of gray. And now I'm filling that in. And I figure, well, since this is going to be the last shade of gray I think that I'm going to do on here, I can go ahead and use the rest of the paint that's on my plate. So let's just fill in that whole bottom part of the paper. And at this point here, that's when I realized that I lost all of that yellow that I wanted to have in the background. Oh well. Live and learn. Next time, I'll plan out that background maybe a little bit better, having made that mistake on this one. But it's okay, because we still have the beautiful sun in yellow as well. So I didn't lose all of the yellow on the background. So now we need some happy little trees to live in this middle layer of the tree silhouette. I'm trying to make different sizes of trees, but I want these trees to be a little bit larger than the trees that we did in the previous background in the lightest shade, because these trees are closer to us, so they're going to appear a little bit larger. I still haven't got it perfected as to how I want to put these trees in, but I'm playing and seeing what works with me. I'm trying different styles here, and I find that using the end of the paintbrush here that I'm pointing out to be the best to actually get the trees drawn in. I don't know if that's the way I'm supposed to do it, but that's what's working for me, so I'm going to continue to do that. And we'll put another little tree over here. Now I don't want this to be too busy, so let's leave it at those trees that we have painted in. And now let's go with our closest silhouette layer of trees in the hill with just the solid black. Now these trees are going to need to be even bigger because they're closer to us. And that's also why they're going to be the darkest, because they're the closest to us. So they'll appear the darkest. So filling in that ground section. And now we need some happy trees to live here. So instead of doing it with the page the correct way around, I decided to try doing it from the side and see if I liked the trees better that way, if I could get a different angle. But I ended up with a really short, fat, stubby tree. Nothing wrong with being short, fat, and stubby, but I kind of wanted the trees in the front to be a little bit bigger, a little bit taller, a little more slender. But we also need a couple of little short trees. Can't have them all the same size. Let's do another taller one here. The first line that I drew there, I drew on an angle, and I could have kept it that way because not all trees grow completely straight up and down. But because I'm filling it all in with the black anyways, it didn't matter that my original line was on an angle. Look, you don't even see that I made that mistake. And I wanted the top of the trees to be really, really skinny. So I end up going back afterwards, you'll see here in a little bit, and just adding a little bit more to the tops of those trees. This one here, you can see the body of the tree was a little bit wobbly and a little bit too fat for like a tree trunk, but that's okay because again, we're filling it all in with the black, which is just going to be a silhouette. Nothing to stress out over. Do a little baby tree here. See, here we go. I just added a little bit more to the tops of those trees. Make them appear a little bit taller. And now I think to finish it off, we're going to do one last tree hanging off the edge of the page right here. Excellent. Okay, now that everything's dry, I want to add some stars because this is looking sort of like a night sky. So using this silver acrylic paint pen, I just put some dots on the page, and now I'm doing some asterisk type of stars. And then I was looking at it and thinking, well, maybe I should make some of them that are round just a little bit heavier. Add a couple more random dots here. I don't want to overdo it, so I'll call it done there. Peel off the tape, but the tape wasn't cooperating with coming off. And that's it. This is the final page in my sketchbook. A farewell to this sketchbook, and next video we'll start on a brand new one. Good night to this sketchbook. I am so happy that I got this done. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.